How are you?
Hello, doctor. How are you doing?
Please call me Ritesh. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
All right. All right, Ritesh. Good to have you on the show. Thank you for joining. All right, guys. Going to kickstart House of Experts episode 28 today. With me, a very special guest, Dr. Ritesh Malik. He is the CEO of Innov8. Originally a doctor from the medical profession, decided to switch careers and sorry, Ritesh, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So a doctor who switched careers to follow his passion for entrepreneurship. Ritesh has led startup incubators, has mentored several startups in his capacity. Of course, he's going to talk to us a little bit about that. And he runs a large co-working space that was taken over by Oyo, and he now, along with the Oyo team, is spearheading that expansion of Innov8. Of course, we're going to be talking a lot more about this. He's also got many accolades under his belt: Forbes 30 under 30, Fortune 40 under 40. I'm not sure, Ritesh, what else you have coming up, but super exciting and really excited for the show. So thank you for coming on. And if you're ready, Ritesh, let's kickstart with first question here for you.
Yes.
Since we run an education company here at Reachivy, my first question always goes back to early years in education. So if you could just walk us through your early years, sort of what family, system you were brought up under, and just how everything sort of came to being. How did you come to be?
Oh, this is a very interesting question. One of my most favorite ones. I always say I'm one of the most ill-focused people in the history of mankind. I've been born and brought up in a middle-class Punjabi family, and was forced to pursue MBBS as a career, and became a doctor. Started working at the Gangaram Hospital in Delhi, and hated each moment of it, and realized that I need to do something which is out of bound, which is something which excites me enough to actually because as a doctor your life is very sorted. You know that by the age you turn 40 you will have this much amount of wealth. The moment you turn 50, there's no excitement. So as an endeavor, I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, wanted a lot of ups and downs in my life. And with that, took the decision, took the risk of quitting medicine and starting up. And
So I have no. How deep into medicine were you? How deep were you into the whole medical profession?
So I did a 5.5-year full course on Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery. Though I topped in my entire state in Tamil Nadu, but I was decently passionate about the academics, but not about and research, but not about seeing patients. So realized that was not my calling. Took a call and became an entrepreneur.
Okay. Do you come from a family of entrepreneurs? Is any background in the family in terms of business and all of that?
No.
Nothing. Okay. So what were your parents doing? What sort of background did you come from?
So we have 37 doctors in my family. We stay in a joint family. So in my house itself, I have 6 doctors. So my wife is a doctor. My sister is a doctor. Both my parents are doctors. My grandfather is a different sort of a doctor. Except of my grandmother, everyone is a doctor. So we are all doctors.
So what you did coming from that sort of field must have been considered sacrilege, because this is almost sort of, So how was it taken when you decided to do this? How did people take it?
So initially, anything that you start comes with a lot of resistance. Whenever you will take a step which is non-conventional, which is something which is out of norm, it will always be greeted with a lot of resistance from everyone in the society. And as Indians, and though we have our own democracy today, we have a legacy of almost 1500 years of domination. So as a society, we do not, or we want to be as conventional as possible. Whenever two roads emerge, 99% of Indians take the one more traveled. So I believe that at the whole
At every
idea of,
step, we prove Robert Frost wrong. You know, as Indians,
yes,
we're like, we
yes,
will prove Robert Frost wrong in every possible
yes, but
opportunity.
in practical it is not possible, because I truly believe that संगठन शक्ति देता है, लेकिन इन वो साहस तोड़ देता है, आपकी पहचान तोड़ देता है. So I believe that
Absolutely.
at always do, my only submission and request to anyone who's starting up their career is always see what the world is doing. If 99% of the world is doing a particular thing, do not do that, and do that 1%. And it will initially, in the short term, it will be extremely hard, but in the long term, it will give you value you can't even imagine.
Okay, beautifully framed, Doctor. Thank you for sharing that. Getting a lot of comments here, Doctor. People saying the most humble person that you have met. Neetu Chaudhary says, I know your family, Doctor. Very good family. Quick, Nikita Rajput, thank you for your comment. Dr. Ravi Malik, best doctor for my child. Thank you for sharing. Ufuf Mirchi asking, were you considered a black sheep in your family? Did you feel like black sheep in your family?
Yeah, I always, even now I'm so still my grandfather and my and his cousins and all, they don't understand what I do. So it's extremely important, and so I always tell them that I build offices. So they always ask, तुम contractor बन गए हो doctor से? मैंने कहा नहीं नहीं, वो हम लोग, so it's a very different sort of a black sheep, but at least my parents are happy, and because they see me happy.
Okay, what matters most is that you are happy, and surely looks like you are content doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Two more compliments. Shivani Khaitan, excellent human being and very helpful. Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you, Shivani.
All right. Not your Dr. Batra. Truly love the advice, sir. Thank you. Not your Dr. Batra. All right. So you quit the field of medicine, and you sort of started out. How old were you when you started out, and how did you plunge into
this was 2013. I was 2013 is 7 years back. I was 24. I just finished my medicine and started my first internship at Gangaram Hospital.
Okay, so you started at 24. Doctor, I have actually a special guest on today's show who's joined me here. So, want to come in? Quickly, let's get you in. All right, so special guest here. You have a question for Dr. Malik?
Hello. Hi.
Hi, I'm Saina Goenka. I'm 7. So how should I start a company?
Okay, this is very interesting. The first thing about starting a company is that look out and observe. People don't observe. So before starting a company, your job is to, so imagination is 100x more powerful than knowledge. Just go out there and observe and write down a lot of things. Write down the way you see world and the challenges that you see in the world. It might be poverty and all those challenges that actually motivate you, that you are passionate about. Just go out there and see all of that. At the same time, the moment you realize and start observing things in a very different way, you will come out with an idea which for which you would be deeply passionate. For me, that idea was creating office spaces which are maddeningly beautiful and productive. So every human being is different. You are different, I am different, and Vibha is different. So the whole idea is we need to understand our strengths, our weaknesses, and focus on how we are able to solve one problem for the entire world. And then everything is a byproduct. Company, everything you will be able to build.
You got that? Okay, we'll talk about this after the show as well. But thank you, Ritesh, for taking that question from Saina. Budding entrepreneur, I told her about your story and she was super inspired, and she does want to start up. So she's going to watch the rest of the show as well. Okay, so 24, you decided you want to take the plunge. What did you do next?
So the first one was that because I had zero pedigree, so started from the scratch, started going to a lot of events, started taking a lot of strolls, started traveling a lot, and started writing down, because MBBS is an extremely it's one of the most difficult courses to complete. So I did not have a lot of time while pursuing my MBBS, but post that did a lot of trips, did a lot of understanding and travel actually helps you get a lot of ideas, going out of your comfort zone. Our biggest comfort zone is our home. The more you are outside your comfort zone, the more successful you become. So started a lot of traveling, started focusing a lot on observing things, and
you didn't have any clue. You had no clue what you wanted to do. You just knew that there's no MBBS happening and you want to be an entrepreneur.
Yes. And
so you're starting from scratch. Wow. Okay.
Yes. And then started it meeting a lot of people, started it attending a lot of events in places like Your Story. Us time pe main bahut naya naya aaya tha. So started it going to those small events, and that was extremely important, because I started meeting like-minded people. Whereas on one side, what happened that I used to come back home and my grandmother would continuously he tell me that, are you mad? Why are you doing this? And I needed a self-support group which could actually tell me that, नहीं यार हम भी ये कर रहे हैं, हो जाएगा कुछ ना कुछ करके. I was looking out for hope. So that I got in a lot of entrepreneurs. So started it spending time with a lot of entrepreneurs. Post that met it my first co-founder Abhishek, and we built a company called AdStuck, which was an augmented reality company, and we built an amazing product called Alive, which was built operating.
It sounds like you just sort of you left the house and you decided to just expose yourself to people, ideas, and experiences.
Yeah. Because we are in a joint family, we cannot leave our houses, but it was like I used to go out in the morning at 8 and come back by 10. So it was we are not allowed. My parents are so possessive, they would actually scroll me down if I leave the house. So for me, the most important part was the fact that I needed to do something which was unconventional, uncanny. I also thought of giving my GMAT, and wanted to become an MBA grad like you. I wasn't successful in doing that as well. So I realized that I wasn't able to sit and study more. That was the biggest pivot of my life.
Okay, because I mean, you did have a rigorous 5.5 years MBBS.
Yeah.
Okay, so you decide to go explore. How did you chance upon the ads business? Because that was your first venture, right?
Not my idea. Abhishek's idea fully. Abhishek was the CEO. I was second in command, but I learned a lot from him. He was the one because of whom I actually learned about basic things like digital marketing. He's an IIT, and he taught me a lot. So we together built that business. And luckily we sold we built, operated, and transferred an app called Alive, which was one of the most downloaded app in the country at that point in time for augmented reality.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you. Ayush Jaiswal says big fan. Ritesh sir.
Thank you, Ayush.
Avyak Sethi, big fan. Ritesh sir. Able, wonderful advice. Shivani, very well said. Thank you guys for all your comments and interactions. Keep them coming. Okay, so what was the learning in the ads business? You know, what did you sort of feel like helped you as sort of building blocks as your first venture in the entrepreneurial space?
So the first learning was the fact that in India, because the idea was extremely ahead of its time, so we realized that we cannot build a business where infrastructure is lacking. In 2013, still most of the country had 2G only. So we realized that we can't build a huge business until and unless infrastructure improves, and that is why our business was not wildly successful while the product was very decent. So we realized that when you start up something, product is important, but extrinsic factors like infrastructure, government policy are extremely important. So whenever you start a business, be more cautious of the kind of environment you are dealing in.
Okay, so early learnings, infrastructure is important. You learned that infrastructure is key. You learned the government regulations and hurdles that you would have to sort of surpass to make anything successful? Okay. Anything in terms of hard skills, considering, you were trained as a doctor, you spoke a little bit about digital marketing. What other hard skills?
I realize that you don't need hard skills. I'm still one of the weakest hard skill people in the ecosystem. I do not know almost everything, and I don't want to know. So my job is not to know a lot of hard skills. My job is to make sure that I embrace enough soft skills to have work with me some of the finest hard skilled people in the world. So my job is not is not to know a lot of skills.
Okay, so not a big believer in hard skills as you were growing these businesses.
Yes.
Okay. What happened next? So how did the next move?
So post that, started investing in a lot of companies, started it with whatever small amount of capital I got. The whole idea was to invest in founders. And till date, I've invested in close to 70 startups. A lot of interesting startups have come out of that portfolio, like Joe Stocks, which is Keto, which is a crowdfunding platform, Inc42, a lot of interesting in media, non-media startups. And realized one thing, that all the startups had one problem, that we did not get physical collaborative spaces. So we thought that why can't we build beautiful, like why do we look up to Silicon Valley कि नहीं यार वहाँ Google में इतना अच्छा ऑफिस है, Facebook में इतना अच्छा ऑफिस है, और मैं अपने यहाँ ऑफिस में जाता हूँ, कभी जनरेटर नहीं चल रहा होता, कभी लाइट नहीं आ रही होती, कभी AC नहीं चल रहा होता. At times you do not even have proper ventilation. You don't have, it's not an experience. And you spend, pre-COVID we used to spend almost 8 hours each day, which is 50% of our awake hours in offices or while going towards offices. So we thought that how the hell don't we have great office cultures in our country, and why are we always looked down upon as a poor country which can only do back end jobs like BPO, etc. So we thought, let's build the most beautiful office space culture in this country and inspire millions of people who are serious about their work to not only just sustain but build, do Meraki, put your soul in your work. So we thought, let's create something like that. Our first center was Connaught Place, in Innov8 Connaught Place, and there we started 2016.
Before we jump into the nitty-gritty of Innov8, I want to spend a little bit time, if you don't mind, on the startups that you helped incubate and build. Because as entrepreneurs listening to the conversation, it's great to have a sense of how an investor would look at us. So as an investor, I know you spoke a little bit about, you were investing in founders. Other than that, what were you looking at? What do you look at when, you've made these 70 investments? Of those factors, what are some of the factors that have stayed with you? And what are some of the factors that sort of shaped up, as you went through your own journey as an investor and grew there?
So I think the most important thing is that as an investor, your only job is to make sure that you invest in high TAM businesses, high total addressable markets, high growth potential industries, and extremely high integrity founders. And at the same time, the business should have very, very good margins. So my personal learning has been, do not invest in industries which are very niche. Invest in large industries is with great integrity led founders who are madly passionate about solving those challenges. I think that is something which I truly believe is the key to build extremely viable large scale products. And again, most of my investments are very Bharat led. I truly believe, I'm extremely patriotic. I just feel that 25-30% of all the employees of Facebook, Apple, Google, and majority of large tech companies of the world are Indian in origin. We are a genetic gold mine, but at the same time, once these Indians come back to India, they complain that यहाँ infrastructure नहीं है. So we thought that the whole idea is that build products from Bharat, from our national soil, for Bharat, but also export these products. These products to the world.
Okay, great. Just going to read out a few more comments, Ritesh, if that's okay. Taking a comment here from Mittal B says, big fan, Ritesh sir. Shreya says, so inspiring. Growth with Lakshya, I will take your question. I promise you. Vibhuti says, I'm a psychologist by profession. However, your journey inspires me a lot. You're so humble. Thank you, Vibhuti. Gonna take this comment by Nenya Katyal. Says, Ritesh, your words speak so much volume. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Um, Taking on Vibhuti's question, and Vibhuti, he's already addressed this before, but since you're asking it, I will request him to touch upon this again. Vibhuti asked, please talk about normalizing quitting, something that we don't like, but fearing society's judgment as we make that decision. So, your experience a little bit about how society sort of, if at all, gave you any flack for quitting what you didn't enjoy. You didn't enjoy medicine, and you moved on.
So I think quitting it's I truly believe that because I'm a student of biology, I truly believe in Charles Darwin. It is not the fastest or the largest who will survive. It is the one who adapts to change, who will survive continuously. The whole idea is that you never quit, you continuously evolve. It's an evolution. Change is the only constant worldwide. Even this universe will end one day. The whole idea is that you keep on changing, you keep on adapting to the world, but at the same time you never quit the dream. If you've taken a dream to become an entrepreneur, or only quit, either you will die becoming an entrepreneur or you will become a successful entrepreneur. There's no in between. That nahi, I truly believe that quitting can never be an option. If you take a path less traveled, if you just make sure you continuously chase down that path and don't come back on that same path, you will achieve success. There's no doubt in that. But the only challenge is 99.99% of the world has an element called fear. Fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real. It is so common, and when people actually succumb fear is the most perceptive device used to actually dominate it India. And as a country, as its citizens, our genes are full of fear. We have a fear कि नहीं यार, did you know why our stock markets goes, it's one of the most volatile stock markets in the world? The reason is we have so much fear and we have so much greed as well. So there needs to be a balance. You cannot or just be fearful or be greedy always. At the same time, I also have an acronym for fail. Fail is nothing but first attempt in learning. As a process, you continuously learn, you embrace the outcome of that learning and improve yourself. You cannot quit. That is the only your tenacity to not quit will give you results that you can't even imagine.
Okay, beautifully framed. First attempt in learning. Anchal, I hope that answers your question as well. That was beautifully framed, Ritesh. I love that. I'm going to watch this part of the video myself one more time. Taking this question here from Uktika Fever, who says, how can you help our grassroots, or how shall we help grassroots level organizations with entrepreneurship? Any comment there?
I think the only way you can help anyone now 2020 is we are at the cusp of a massive change impending upon us. You will see we will have almost 2.5 million jobs subtracted out of this ecosystem within the next half a decade.
Sure.
By 2030, job security will be a term which would be completely obsolete. Either you are amazing at your skill or you are actually begging for food. This will be the whole idea. Because of technology, there will be so much disruption you can't even imagine. Now, only two people will survive. One, who are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs does not mean large scale companies. Entrepreneurs means micro entrepreneurs. A woman who makes papad for a living is also an entrepreneur.
Sure.
So building micro entrepreneurs is the need of this hour. Today, whatever we might say, 76% of our employment does not come from large listed corporations, but from small and medium businesses. SMBs and micro and medium, small and medium enterprises give us 76% of employment. The backbone of the nation is your SMBs. Any organization who helps in development of grassroots entrepreneurship via creating self-help groups, via creating micro loan platforms, micro payment platforms, and skilling them to do something which can really help them get 1,000 or 500 rupees a day, will be creating an impact. And the only way, so this is another topic which I'm extremely passionate about, the only way to have a country's women, our country's women, empowered is put money in their bank accounts, put money, give them skills, because the day a woman starts earning equal to a man, her respect in the house will increase. The sad part of this country is we do not respect, and this is not about poor families only. This is about out families which have an annual turnover of 1,000 crores. We don't respect women. It's extremely sad, and the only way to do that is make sure that a woman is able to support herself. We still have millions of women who can't divorce their husbands because they are dependent for a livelihood on their husbands. I truly believe that you just focus on putting money in women's account, and you will see this country will change. What women can do in our country, you can't even imagine.
Money and skills, and then you can change the landscape of the country. Absolutely. Yes. Lots of people agreeing with you. Albert Kumar says, I agree. Abel says, wow. Shreya says, wow, I totally agree. Sudha Sharma, micro entrepreneurship is the key, bang on. Absolutely. He should be a speaker at all top universities. Absolutely. I'm sure Ritesh is already speaking at many, many forums. Shreya, this is so inspiring and true, very helpful and motivating. Vibhuti. All right, guys, thank you for your comments. Ritesh, that was superbly well framed. Let me take this question from not your Dr. Batra. How do you think making a personal brand while you're researching or observing your idea could benefit in the long term? So a little bit about like building a personal brand.
So I feel that is so important in today's day and age. Online reputation management is a key responsibility area of an entrepreneur, because when you start a business, no one knows you. If people know you, they will trust. Our only job in business is to develop something called trust. Trust is one of the most loosely used words in our country, and it will give you IQ was a term in 1965-70s. EQ, emotional quotient, was a term in 1998, 2000. And now, because of internet, everything is there. You can learn IQ and EQ. Learning trust, building trust quotient, TQ, is something which is so difficult. So I have a formula for that. So trust is nothing but trust is equal to reliability into credibility into intimacy divided by self-interest. So our only job, you know why? So I just went to Switzerland. So Switzerland mein, and I'm a vegetarian. So Switzerland mein, the moment I see a yellow color ka M, I feel so happy. I have serotonin in my वो that यार यहाँ पे आलू के चिप्स वही मिलेंगे जो मेरे बाजू वाले मॉल में मिलते हैं. Now that is something which is so important, that trust, consistent trust building is the only KRA for an entrepreneur. Your trust will get you consumers, customers, your employees, your team, your vendors. The moment you have trust, you can move mountains. So and when it comes to trust, things, very simple things like building a profile where you really help people, because in our country, and you help, एक हिंदी में शब्द है जिसको बोलते हैं निस्वार्थ, without any expectation of return, selfless. You keep on helping people, and you will see, and be as genuine and true as possible. You will see over the period of 5 years, you will be one of the most popular people, because I just asked my dad, and we have this syndrome in school that मैं बड़े होके क्या बनूं from 5th 6th class, and he said के यार जो बनना है वो तो बनेगा ही, उससे पहले अच्छा इंसान तो बन. There are very few good people, and to be happy you don't need a lot of money. You'll probably sustain even if you don't do anything. We both are doctors, we have earned enough, but the whole idea is become a good human being, and that is a very difficult skill to actually learn. Being healthy, wealth is not capital. Capital, the dollar sign in wealth is 7. There are 6 forms of wealth, different forms of wealth. Health, your mental well-being. So the WHO definition of health is very interesting.
Okay, actually, Ritesh, I'm glad you talked about this, because 10 years ago, when I was starting out my journey, I had a coach, and I asked the coach, I'm starting this thing, give me some advice. I don't know what to do. And he said exactly what you said. He said, counsel from the bottom of your heart and counsel selflessly, and then let the magic happen,
Yeah.
So and that's what I followed. And it's you know, it's uncanny how 10 years later the same words are coming, and it's all around us. You know, you serve people selflessly without any agenda, and the magic just happens. So that was beautifully framed. And since you talked about you know, talking when you were much younger, I have one more young guest for you on this show. Come on, quickly, your turn. Let's go. Another 7-year-old with us here today. Come with it. Right? Go for it.
Hi.
Hi. My name is.
Talk louder.
My name is Anvi Goenka, and I want to know how you manage your company.
She wants to know how to manage a company.
Okay, so I think managing a company is nothing but managing people. Your job is not to manage the company. Your job is to just make sure you manage people and alignment. So your only job as the chief of a company is becoming the chief clarity officer, making sure that you can create a lot of clarity for your team members. And the only skill required for that is you should be extremely good with the writing, and you should switch off your mobile phones for 3 hours a day and just focus away from all distractions, away from the grid, and just focus on writing on a piece of paper your thoughts, what you think, where you are going in, and measure everything, your metrics on a daily basis. Measure where you are going, and then apart from this, there are only two things that you need to do. Literally treat your customers as God. Just imagine agar Bhagwan Krishna, if Lord Krishna comes on your doorstep, how you would behave the same with your customer, and you will get things you can't even imagine from your customers. Customer tijori khol dete hain if they have a promise of trust, and that is extremely important. The second thing is control. Don't be frugal alone, be frugal. So frugal is a new term. Frugal means save your time. Money is important, but more than money, time. Continuously see where your time is going. Do not do any activity which anyone else can do. Delegate, and then save money. Money is so important, and saving money for a company, and a lot of people don't realize this, but your dollars, you just focus on saving pennies, and your dollars will take care of themselves. And the last thing is consistently build trust across your vendors and partnerships.
Okay, did you answer your question?
Yeah.
You say thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Anji.
Okay, I think that was very beautifully framed. If God himself were to appear at your doorstep, how would you treat him? And I know in India, we would write like sagas, and we'd write plays about this. And if I were to encounter God, I would do all these things. Just transpose God with your customer and let the magic happen. I think that was
and those sagas into SOPs.
And sagas into SOPs. Absolutely. All right, guys, thank you for your comments coming here. Ufmachi, hi, Lakshmi, Mr. Vaibhav Jain, hello, how are you? Krisan, Little Minds and So Ambitious, absolutely. Thanks, Shivani. Okay, let's take this question from Tanyuksha Yadav. How do you take a general idea to a next level if it already exists? So if there's a concept that already exists, how do you sort of enhance it? And is it always necessary to create something disruptive, or can you just enhance something that already exists? I think, Tanusha, this is a great question. Thank you for asking.
So I think you cannot, I think you cannot copy something and just and just be a leader in that. It's very, very difficult to do that until and unless you are following these three principles. Either be the best, be different, or be the first. All these three, their innovation is so important. If your consumer is selling this and you start selling this, is just by on the side of that consumer at the same price, you will not be able to make money. And if you start selling this to start with at a lower price, he will also lower. So these are anti-competitive measures you should never adopt. On the other hand, think that if a consumer is selling this, how can you be better and less cheap, and at the same time, better, more efficient in terms of capital deployment, and at the same time, more valuable to your customer, and you start selling this. The moment you build this at a slightly lower price than this, and you are innovative, you will see sales of this will go down and this will go up. The whole idea is be the best, be the first, and be different. Whatever you do, be different. 15% is the goal. Whatever a restaurant does, if you want to nail sales of another restaurant on just say 10 meters from a present restaurant, do 15% better across all your value chain systems, your entry points, your interiors, your food, your presentation, your quality of staff, the way you create, the way you do packaging, everything should be just 15% better. And you will literally make sure that you will be better than, but never ever compete or copy the same product.
So clearly you're not a believer in price wars, cost, sort of cost wars, etc. Doesn't work. What I'm hearing is innovate at every level, innovate at every sort of stage of the value chain. Even if it's a 15% difference, you will feel the difference.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Tanushka, I hope that answered your question. Let's take this question from Saket is asking if at an early stage, if he wants to share an idea with you, what is the best way to reach you, Ritesh?
Honestly, I usually try to revert to a lot of people, but at times, because I'm not able to. So, but I am available at info@drriteshmalik.com. That's my email ID. But I don't respond very quickly. So I'm again apologizing in advance.
Okay, great. And guys, you can obviously follow him on Instagram. Both Innov8 and Ritesh Malik are active on Instagram. So please do follow them and stay tuned to their journey. Picking up this question from Rajat Hitolia, who says, could you talk a little bit about financial metrics, cash flow, net operating income, etc.? How much of the metrics themselves are you focused on when you're investing, and obviously for your own business as well?
So so I don't understand a lot of finance. So for me, it's as simple as this, that your entire revenue should be more than your expenses, and to me that number is 33%. So if that's happening, you have infinite capital in the world to attract and build your business. Continuously make sure you have healthy margins, you have a very, very good financial control. And control means you don't need to go so much deep. Just focus on two things. Your revenue should be more than your expenses, and you'll be just fine.
Okay, guys, I think it's he's looking at it as simple as that. Like with any other business, obviously you want to make a profit. Revenue minus expenses equals profit. As long as you're making a profit, you're in good shape. I'm going to take this question here from Growth with Lakshya. He's asked this many times in the chat. What is Dr. Malik's perspective on the Indian education system?
Pura barbad hai. It's one of the worst education systems.
Yeah, so
it's one of the worst. This is a very passionate topic for me. I can go on this. I believe that Indian education system is one of the most fragmented, most inadequate systems, and most capital depleting and time depleting systems in the world. First, for 14 years of our life, we are taught things that we should not be knowing. I do not need to know when Babur was born. I do not need to know when Humayun was passed away. What I need to know is what were the skills that Babur entailed to actually conquer the entire North India within 13 years of his existence. The whole idea is we are being fed with knowledge which is not required. We are being fed with, and again, the problem is not our education system. The problem is the fact that our government has never valued teachers. I went to a school and I asked a group of 6th, 7th, 8th standard students. There were, I think, 1,000 of them in the auditorium. So I asked, how many of you want to become a teacher? And I did not even have a single hand like this, that I want to become a teacher. No one wants to become a teacher, because teachers have become the most menial jobs. Anyone who cannot become anything becomes a teacher. Now, just imagine, in hands of these incapable people, we are giving the future of our children and our country. The day teachers and doctors are giving salary like 50 to 60 lakh rupees CTC, the way we give to our corporate employees, we will see a shift in great minds joining to become a teacher. The day great people like not you and me, but the day say a Vibha becomes a teacher, the entire trajectory changes, because you are well exposed. You understand what education should be. You do not only focus upon you do not only focus upon what we call ratification. So I believe that first thing is 14 years should be consolidated to 6 to 7 years. Very basic. Post that, there should be a complete sabbatical for 3 years. We should actually be sent to Himalayas to explore, to discover, as education. And the only job, as Charles Robert, is a very interesting philosopher. He said that the only job of education is for helping pupils to find what their passion area is. And that we have completely failed. Our society defines in what we should become. Your parents are doctors, become a doctors. We are the only society in the world where we have businesses up to 5 generations. पर दादा मेटल का काम कर रहे थे, बच्चा भी मेटल का काम कर रहा है. It's because there is no, and these are and everyone. Sachin Tendulkar will never be good at singing a song. Lata Mangeshkar will never be good at doing a 100-meter sprint. The whole idea is that all of us are different. We need to focus on our strengths and be away from our weaknesses and just focus on things that make us happy. My mother asked me that if you will not become a doctor, what will you become? मैंने कहा छोले भटूरे बेचूंगा. I do not care what I do. I will not be a doctor. I will not spend even a single day. It is 83 trillion is to 1 chance to become a human being. I will not spend even a single day being unhappy about my work 8 hours a day.
Sure, absolutely. Very interesting you say that, the system here perpetuates a homogeneous class. You walk into a class and they want everyone to be the same. And what I'm hearing from you is find your spice, find your individuality and express it, which the system definitely doesn't perpetuate. When I counsel students, you said the purpose of education should be to help people find their life purpose. I meet people in their early 30s, mid 30s, who have no idea what their life purpose is. There is no conversation around life purpose in our classroom. The conversation is about successful careers and what's going to get you there, and that's it. It's limited to that. So I'm glad you're speaking up against this and sort of taking a public stance about what the system should entail. A lot of people agreeing with you here, sir. Says Shreya Jain says, wow, so true. We have to be different and love what we do. Okay, great. Thank you guys for all these comments. I'm going to now pick up another thread here relating to education. I have a question here from Albert Kumar, who says, is it necessary to learn coding? What are your thoughts on skilling in terms of technology? And in the similar vein, there's a question right here also around this. Okay, from Not Your Dr. Batra. So do you think it is important for future entrepreneurs with good ideas to also learn technology skills? So what's your take on, this whole coding phenomena that has swept everyone?
So I have a very different view. I believe that learn technology, but do not make money out of learning that technology. Do not make money by learning technology, and that means that you should learn coding, but you should learn coding to eventually employ people who would do coding for you. Do not waste your time doing. Anyone can do. You give 3 to 4 lakh rupees, you'll get the finest of the coders of the world to work for you. The whole idea is that you should only focus on intangible tasks which no one can do. Critical thinking, negotiations, focusing on which industries to choose. Selling hard skills will never make you millions of dollars. Selling hard skills will make you a good lifestyle. You will be able to afford a good Mercedes C-Class, E-Class. You'll never be able to afford a Rolls Royce. Your focus should be to learn skills which no one teaches, because that no one teaches is these skills are in massive paucity. The art of negotiation is one of those skills. Understanding the public speaking. Out of 100 people, not even 1 or 2 people can do good public speaking. Learn public speaking, the kind of influence that you can have, because not even the best CA in the world can speak publicly well. So the way you motivate people, the way you inspire people, your job is more towards those softer elements of being a leader than doing hard skills. I've made my millions not by learning hard skills.
Okay, guys, he's quite clear. He's not a big believer in hard skills. He feels hard skills can obviously get you to a certain stage. But if you want to hit the ball out of the park, go try to find the nuances in skilling, which cannot not actually be taught. You probably have to learn them by experience, by failure, He's a big believer in his failure acronym. I hope you caught that. If not, we will have this recording up for you, and you should definitely play back and hear the entire session. Moving on to a question from Jello Daring, who says, how do we deal with the copycats of our startups and companies? Okay, that's a great question. What do? Obviously, you hit certain level of success. Everyone wants to imitate you. Should you ignore your competitors who are trying to imitate you? What should you do? What advice do you have for entrepreneurs?
So never ever compete with the competitor. See, if a competitor is imitating you, he's already a foot back. So our beliefs, and we've seen this a lot. So our name is INNOV numeric 8. We saw a lot of new co-working spaces copying our designs, and it's a low barrier to entry business. So we don't mind that. But our focus is not to pay heed to them. Our focus is, irrespective of the fact whether someone is copying us or not, continuously focus on improving ourselves. You have 24 hours a day. Success is rented. The only way you will see another 24 hours is by working hard, by improving and innovating and changing yourself. And the faster you change, your competition will not be able to outpace you. If you continuously, you become so somersaulty, you continuously change yourself. You talk to your customers, you change. You talk to your customers, you change on a daily basis. Their needs are changing, and you will change. And that will make you so anti-fragile that you can't even imagine. Continuously be a beast by not focusing on your customers, on your competition will keep on getting a lot of new ideas. Usually we've seen that anyone who copies us within 18 months, they are out of business, because we change ourselves so quickly that we will not be able to, they will not be able to outpace us in our somersaulty nature. So continuously change, innovate, improve, and know where you are spending your penny. Our pennies will only be spent on one thing. Can this make our customers love us more? Our NPS, our net promoter score, is so important for us. क्या ये पैसा हमारे कस्टमर को हमें छोड़ने में मुश्किलात पैदा करेगा? If that is the answer, if the answer to that is yes, we spend that money. Anything because finally customer is God. It is larger. I haven't seen God, but my food is my God, and my food comes on my table. My kitchen runs because of my God, and for that, if I am able to continuously value add in their lives, they will make sure and customers, as people. And people think that customers are not very loyal. I don't agree with them. People are so loyal, provided you continuously keep on adding value. We are very loyal to Starbucks because Starbucks continuously innovates. We love Starbucks, and no one goes to a CCD because they did not innovate at the right time.
Okay, I hope that answered your question. He's talked a lot about not focusing on the competition and focusing on your product and your customer. And he earlier also talked about constantly innovating. Even if you're showing a 15% improvement all the time above what your competitors are offering, you should be in good place. I hope that took care of your question. Guys, I want to focus a little bit on his journey since we've got so many questions flooding in. So Ritesh, a little bit about Innov8. How did you innovate the idea for Innov8? How did you guys think of making it different? Could you sustain your competitive advantage? And of course, please lead us up to the journey of the acquisition.
So Innov8 was very interesting, very simple. It was a very simple idea. A lot of great people come together and share an office space that makes it A, cheap, B, community becomes amazing, and C, you build the most amazing layer of technology real estate in the world. So if you've seen Innov8, we've been awarded second best co-working space in the world by Fast Magazine. We've been awarded by Fortune, by a lot of design magazines, both in Europe, US. And the reason for that was extremely simple. We will build the most. We will not copy our competitors. We will not copy WeWork. We will not copy CoWorks. We will have our own niche. We will use India to our advantage. We will use Make in India product. We will continuously use things like jute. We will continuously use things like coconut coir. We will use a lot of things which are abundant in our country. Bamboo. and we will build design that has never been seen in the world. When people come to our offices automatically, and Indians before, as I always say before in Innov8, Indians were Garfields. They used to hate their offices. On a Monday, we actually had Monday blues. On a Sunday evening, people actually started having palpitations ke sala kal se office jana hai. And we thought that how do we change that? How do we make them anti-Garfields? And the only way to do that was build beautiful office spaces. Just imagine your office is in a Starbucks. That's what Innov8 is for us. Building a large space like Starbucks and giving them freshest of the freshest green teas, coffees, food, helping them get a cafe feel at the same time, extremely high on internet, extremely high on services, and meet great people. And that is what Innov8 is for us.
Okay, great. So a lot of thought on design, a lot of thought on basic amenities, a lot of thought on providing sort of a cafe luxury experience to your customers. Talk a little bit about the cost economics of this sort of business. If you had to do a simple sort of basic model, how does this business work? How does the co-working business work?
So it's a very simple business. You take a land on long-term lease. You invest your capex depending on where you want to be, anywhere between say a 1,500 to a 4,000 rupee per square feet, and then you amortize the cost over the next 9 years and start welcoming guests and take money from them on a monthly basis. So it's a very simple Marwadi sort of a business. Very I really like the business because it's from day one it makes profit. It's not VC dependent. We did not raise capital from venture capital firms. So the good part with our business was we were extremely focused on the fact that we would be building a business which would make sense economically. Okay,
so a pretty straightforward business. You're seeing profitable from a very early on stage. How are you differentiating from the customer? So with all these options out there right now, you spoke about you're always different from the competitors. You're not into the cost-cutting mindset. What is it that you're offering? Like if I were looking for space and I looked at 6 options, what would bring me to Innov8?
And honestly, it's very difficult to differentiate. The biggest advantage that Innov8 has is a bundle. It's very simple to say that co-working is a simple, low barrier to entry business, but in co-working, due to COVID, we have seen almost 33 to 40% of the entire industry has been folded. We are still sustaining because you own your customers. You just make sure your biggest barrier to entry is your customer. You just make sure that he is completely satisfied with you, and then you just focus on, and it's a layer. It's something that it's an experience. See, anyone can start a coffee shop. How do you become a Starbucks? It's a low barrier to entry business. Anyone can start a coffee shop. The only way to become a Starbucks is consistently build trust. You go to a washroom, you get that same fragrance. You go to your coffee, and every day you get that same coffee. You never have these issues कि यार दूध फटा हुआ है, पानी नहीं आ रहा. These slacks cannot happen. It's very easy to say, but it's very difficult to replicate this operational sensitivity. So for us, we are extremely focused because we know it's a low barrier to entry business. Our experience of our customers is extremely important for us.
Okay, great. All right. Forbes 30 under 30, Fortune 40 under 40. What's next? What's on your mind? You've incubated companies. You helped 70 companies in their growth trajectory. You've been acquired by Oyo. Being acquired by a leader in your market space is, of course, a great feeling. What's next on the cards for Dr. Ritesh Malik?
Honestly, you never do anything for accolades. You only do things for your own happiness. These are byproducts. I don't chase anything. My next goal is we are building a university called Plaksha. It's not for profit. I've started my philanthropic journey with that to change education. So education is something which I'm extremely dear about. At the same time, I don't know yet. I'm still taking a lot of time to understand what I can do, and just spending a lot of time with my family.
Okay, so you're foraying into the education space.
And that's not for profit.
And a not for profit, man. Okay.
Yeah.
From all these years, in terms of being an investor, entrepreneur, now potentially philanthropist, let's take this question here from Jello, who says, what are the top 5, if not 5, let's maybe talk about the top 3, let's not call them problems, let's call them learnings So just, sort of 3 experiences that you had that, the 3 big learnings that you'd like to share with prospective entrepreneurs.
So the first learning is that start. I took a lot of time in not starting. I think I could have started in the midst of my medical career as well. I still feel that we don't jump enough. We don't. We have 1,000 reasons to adopt the procrastination syndrome, and and also change your circle. At times your circle is extremely daunting, extremely negative, extremely pessimistic. So I've seen that you should continuously, my only job is to just make sure that I'm in the company of the most successful and the most productive people in the world, because that is it's a magnet. They will continuously take you up. And at the same time, the other magnet is also the south magnet, which will be people who are pessimistic. So one of my best friends, I always asked him, so I asked him that, should I quit my internship at Gangaram Hospital? कहता पागल हो गया, तो तू क्या करेगा? Then I asked him, should I start the augmented reality company? कहता पागल हो गया, वो कैसे चल सकता है? Then I asked him, should I start investing in startups? कहते यार FDs तो लोग करवा नहीं पा रहे हैं, banks FD का पैसा तो दे नहीं पा रहे हैं. These are such risky investments. Don't do that. So you will always have naysayers. Continuously recognize them, and it is, you are a product of top 5 people with whom you spend the most of your time. Second challenge which I learned the harder way was, you don't need to learn a lot of hard skills. Continuously focus on learning in skills with like critical thinking, writing, in speaking. I think that is extremely important. And then the hard skills of coding and all, I do not know coding till now, and that hasn't made my life, if any, even a single dollar less that I should have in my bank account. The third one is that don't chase money. Money is a byproduct. Chase value. Continuously chase value. Continuously become become an industrialist. Don't start just a business. Start a business with a large vision to become an industry. Build a large industry. That is extremely important. And Indians don't have large dreams. This I have seen because they are extremely risk averse. So I believe that as Indians we should change. Now we are almost 75 years away from Independence Day. We are still not independent in our thought. We have to continuously focus on thinking large as possible, and at the same time working hard for that.
Okay, great. So continue dreaming big, and I think that I'm going to end on this note, because I just the last dose of inspiration you gave us, I want to sort of keep that with me as I end this session here. So heartful thank you to Dr. Ritesh Malik. I actually have goosebumps from that last response. Extremely inspiring, motivational, and very on the point. And I just love the way you speak. It's absolutely fearless. Everything you've been talking about, all those values, you're emanating in the conversation. So you're clearly someone who's practicing what you preach, because I can sense, even sitting at such a distance, that these are things that you truly believe in, and these are not just words of preaching. So going to keep that with me very closely, and going to continue dreaming big. Thank you, Dr. Ritesh Malik, for those words of inspiration.